Good afternoon. BBLOTT Podcast Studio is in the building. Your host, Montana, and I will be bringing you some updates on current classes that's coming up at BBLOTT. So in November, first of all, the group home training, if you were looking for group home training, you have missed the group home training for the month of October. You have to look into coming in November. If you want to do group home training for the state of Ohio, that class will be coming back around November the 2nd at 11 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. So if you want to start your group home and come to a training class, it's at 11 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. on November the 2nd and November the 16th. Those are the last two classes of the year. So if you are doing the group home training, again, November the 2nd, November the 16th from 11 to 5 on both classes. There will be no more classes until next year in January. If you're interested, give me a call at 216-978-0386, 216-978-0386. Okay, so we got the group home training. If you are looking to come to a grant writing class to learn about grants, you got your nonprofit, maybe a for-profit, and you say, hey, I'm looking for some funding. The grant class is going to be here at BBLOTT. If you are a member and you have a current membership, it is free. So if you come in here, your membership is free. Your membership is updated. You're coming to the class for free. All right. If you have to renew your membership, give me a call and renew your membership. But that's going to be on November the 9th from 10 o'clock to 3. And it's going to be first come, first serve because it's going to be a packed class on the grant writing. So give me a call to register and get in there. And then when you come, please come early because seats are going to be taken fast and you don't want to be sitting in the aisles and stuff like that. So come, that class is filling up quick. And that is for the grant writing class for November the 9th from 10 to 3. All right. And the next final class, which is the last class of the year, the business class, the 501c3 and the for-profit business structure business training class, November the 17th. And that's at 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's only 3 hours, once a week for 6 weeks. So you will be having everything structured. All your applications will be done. And basically it will be ending in December. There's no more classes starting in December. You'll be coming back. Whoever missed it, they got to come back in January. All right. If you are interested in those programs or those classes, give me a call again, 216-978-0386. All right. So other than that, let's get on with the show, you guys. So basically, I got a special guest for you guys. Pretty much she has been through a lot going through her journeys in life and accomplishing when I tell you so many things, just talking to her, it was just like inspirational. Like if she can do it, anybody can do it. But we know she will give you her story and tell you some of the things she has had to face, the challenges she went through, overcoming certain things, and where she is now, where she's going in the future. Yay. So let me introduce to you right now Miss Stephanie Morris Nunn with the Nadir Art Collection. Did I say it right?
Art and Design.
I'm sorry, Art and Design Collection. And it is a nonprofit that she has got established this year. So she has many great things for the next year to come. So please tune in to what she's doing. She's going to be on her own podcast very soon. And tune in and see where's her events are going to be held at. If she's doing classes, if she's just going to be speaking engagements, you definitely want to tune in to her and listen to some of the things she has to say. Okay, Miss Stephanie Morris Nunn, I am glad to have you with BBLOTT. And basically, just give... At first, how did you hear about us?
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
I heard about you last year, and it was from a friend of mine and a client of yours, LaToya Smith, with DNA Rising.
Okay.
And so she became a friend of mine a few years ago, me designing for her, and she started coming to my fashion shows. I started mentoring her daughter. And so we kind of talked about nonprofit and for-profit. And I being fearful of even journeying into it, knowing I knew nothing really about it, I didn't really want to talk about it. I had an event last year, and that event was November 11th and I went into a deficit.
Okay.
It was a success, but really in my mind, it was not a success because of the deficit.
Gotcha. So let me rewind real quick back. What do you do first?
Oh, yes.
So when you say deficit, what were you doing
Yeah.
before?
So I have annual charity fashion shows that brings awareness to the visually impaired communities, youth and adults. I was born with a degenerative eye disease, which deems me as legally blind. I've been told I couldn't do certain things that I push myself to do because you know how if you're a child and they say, don't do that, what do the child usually do?
Touch it. Or do it.
Yeah.
Or do it. Yes.
Yeah, they're going to do it. So, major things in my life I was told I could not do. I went to school with individuals who also were either totally blind or legally blind or profoundly visually challenged. We looked like the kids that really had developmental issues, because our class was housed in public schools.
Okay.
So, we went through a lot. Now, I didn't go down without a fight.
Oh, yeah, right.
I did not go down without a fight. And I think that is my journey in my life. I don't go down without a fight. So I just took art and crochet and design and made it my therapy.
Okay.
And that turned into something bigger than I ever thought it would be. I was told also I wouldn't even be able to get a degree or have a regular job. So if you think about most visually impaired people, they don't get the opportunity to work in mainstream corporate America. You see them doing things that they still look like, something's wrong, I guess you could say. Because I don't look like what I deal with, I work very hard all of my life to not look like that.
Okay.
So with that, I started designing clothes and for my neighborhood friends and associates, and it just grew. Of course, life happened in so many ways. Got a regular job and started going up the scale. One of our major healthcare, they knew I had an eye, they knew I wore glasses, we'll say that.
Right.
But they didn't know the profound condition. Got my master's degree and had a plan. Okay. And that plan was derailed because my eyes started to degenerate, which means weaken, losing sight.
Okay.
So they said, you're a liability. So I look at it today that God said, I might have had a plan, but it obviously was not the plan. Obviously, that was not the plan. It was a full circle, if you will.
Okay.
I went back to the design aesthetic, but going back, I was able to utilize those skill sets in an adult format and let people know that, someone might tell you that you can't. But you don't have to believe in that. Because if you really put the endurance and the time in, you'll see what you can do despite the circumstances.
Right. Definitely. So when we talked and you were like, I was trying to get in touch with you. I kept calling and there wasn't no answer and I emailed and it wasn't. And then when I finally talked to you, I said, who is this? Let me call this person back. I was at my son's soccer game. I was sitting in the car because, it was, to me, I was like, oh, he's doing soccer. Let me just call why I'm waiting. And when you were telling me your story that you were doing things that a nonprofit would do, but you were coming out of your own pocket. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then you said how long you were doing it. I was like, oh, she about to crash. And eventually she about to crash. Yeah. And then you had told me, it's like, listen, I can't do this no more.
No.
And that was to say, hey, I need to meet with you. Come up to a block and we need to have a talk.
Yeah, and I think that timing is everything in life. As I said, sometimes our plans, we may have the best laid plans and ideas, but there are things that we don't do. I had things that I was not doing properly, and I was involved in affiliated with a variety of individuals who have nonprofits and for-profits and are doing major things. They were very supportive, but they could only go but so far. And then it started getting to the point because the charity events started becoming bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And, they said, hey, do you have a nonprofit? And that just kept coming up. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to put the big girl pants on, if you will, and jump in. And it just so happened that, certain things start falling into place for me to be here. When I met with you, I somewhat had that feeling of not embarrassment, but a little bit of embarrassment because, we always want to grade of ourselves. We always want to feel like, we know that we know, if you will. And I felt a sense of ignorance, business ignorance.
Okay.
And in that, I think that is one of the reasons that I took so long and other people might take so long. And for myself, I am able to get into doors I never thought I would be able to get into. I get invited to things now that I otherwise would not be invited.
So now everybody's calling.
Oh my!
Hey, we heard you got your nonprofit. Come over here.
So yes, but in a way where, so I remember something that we talked about early on, the consistency.
Yeah.
And I remember for myself, when you put yourself into a situation and you become engaged in something bigger than what you ever thought, you have to see it through.
Right.
You got to eat it.
Yeah.
You got to think it. I go to bed envisioning certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's good.
When now I talk to people in those rooms that I usually couldn't go to, I get business cards. Well, give me a call. Give me a call. Yeah. And in my mind, I think, well, I'm not ready for that phone call yet, but I'm going to keep your card.
Right.
And I remember another thing just recently, I was frustrated because I've just been trying to jump over the mountain.
Yeah.
And you said, you're not ready yet. It's not time. And I said, well, you know what? That was practice. That was a practice run.
Right.
And, it's I'm so excited to get busy because I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just excited to get busy with what I enjoy doing. I enjoy telling people, despite your circumstances, so you just going to sit around on your circumstances and do nothing? And just breathe, because that's not living.
So let me ask you this. So then when you finally came to BBLOTT, for people that say, I've been seeing BBLOTT, I've been seeing this, I heard good things, I heard some bad things, I heard no things, what would you recommend if they were wanting to come to the program? What did you learn, from your experience?
Well, I feel like this. If you bet on yourself, we don't always bet on ourselves. We will, it's kind of like, if we see somebody else doing good, we want to know, I want that, but they don't want to do the work.
Right.
So they will either not bet on themselves and challenge themselves to learn something new, challenge themselves to get their hands dirty, challenge themselves to even learn to communicate. And I had to challenge myself. I sacrificed, and in that sacrifice, I learned a lot.
Good.
I learned a lot just from, our first meetings. I had to look at the material because you kind of gave us homework when we talked.
Yeah.
Now I decided to do the one-on-one, and I'm so glad I did the one-on-one. The one-on-one, if you're an individual that has an analytical way of thinking already, a little more seasoned in life, I feel that is for a one-on-one. It's for that kind of person. Maybe a person that's a little younger who may not be just trying to get it all in.
Yeah.
Get all that meat off the bone, because that's what it is. I was like, I got questions.
Yeah.
I got comparisons. I got contrasts I want to talk about. And I was proud because when I went home, I set up my life for this moment. I set my office area, felt bad because now I got to get a new PC and make everything the same way the nonprofit needs to be handled and the for-profit.
Right.
So you have to definitely understand you don't just do this from when we're in front of each other. It's definitely...
You're going to be continuing to do it.
Yes.
All the time. So when you're here, you're practicing on me probably. People practice on me. And then when they get out, they know what to do because Montana said this, or I know what to do because Vernon said this, or I don't know what to do. Let me give them a call. And then we say, okay, this is what you got to do. So you were able to call us. We did Zoom meetings. You came in person. You invited friends. You even came out to different presentations that we were at.
And for me, because of my life management skills of my life is a lot different from someone who has all of their basic senses.
Yeah.
Being legally blind, I have to rely on people. I have to
Yeah.
rely on managing how I do things, how I get there, the safety measures of things.
Right.
A lot of times it's finances to just get somewhere. And so, my nonprofit, even for myself, has to be a lot different
Right.
than somebody else's. And in that, I feel like, I have one friend, she has a nonprofit for breast cancer survivors. And, that's still a challenge for people. You don't always hear a lot about the visually challenged. And we know more people that wear glasses, if not ourselves,
Right.
than we do with breast cancer and many other challenges. We really know more people. If it's not, you wear glasses too.
Yeah, you gonna point mine out. How you gonna point my stuff out?
But
Yes, I do.
Yes. And here's the thing. We don't always know how our eyes will age as we age.
Right. Because I was in denial when I first, you couldn't see. Wait a minute, I know my eyes is, and it's like getting squinty. Then you just don't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And then one day you say, let me just get them checked out because maybe something going on. And that doctor told me, oh, here you go. You need some glasses.
And think about when you're a child.
Right.
When you are born, you do not know that you can see better than if you have a visual impairment. If you don't even know that you can't see well.
Right.
So I didn't get diagnosed to the age of 6.
Wow.
I was a little toddler getting a whooping because, back in them days we got whoopings.
Yeah.
And that's what we called them, whoopings.
Oh, yeah.
I would get whoopings if, if mommy says, give me that shoe right there. The other siblings were giving the shoe. Now me, I'm just looking like, what? What does a shoe look like?
Oh, and you didn't know. Oh, wow.
So I got a whooping. And when I got older, as a teenager, I remember my mother, she said, I feel so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I was whooping you and you couldn't see. Now, naturally, I took advantage of it.
You know I can't see.
Yeah. Well, see, my family, my unit, they didn't let me get away with that. I had to wash the dishes. I was like, I can't see the dishes. They said, well, rub them until they... So, I mean, I always tell people, because I actually had someone say, I didn't know that you had a visual problem and it's that bad. And I've known you as long as I have. I knew how to mask it. And last year, February 13th, I got a lens implant in my left eye.
Okay.
And I didn't trust my doctor.
Oh, you were scared.
Yes, I was scared because I'm legally blind.
Right, and you want that other eye.
And this eye, it's not corrected, so I don't see out of it. I just see lights and shadow.
Okay.
And if one wrong move, curtains.
Right.
So I kept telling him no. He said, you'll be back. When you get tired, it's going to get worse and worse, and you'll be ready. And that happened. And, I told him flat out, I'm scared.
Wow.
He said, I'll be the first person, I promise, that you'll see.
Wow, I need his number.
So when he took care of everything, I remember I turned to the left. Now my glasses was pop bottle glasses to the point to where I should start carrying them with me so people can see.
Right.
But they were so thick you couldn't get. There was like Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
People used to call me Miss Magoo.
Oh wow.
If they saw me in my glasses.
But now you got these nice design, sexy glasses.
I have over 20 pair of glasses. From last year to this year, I have about 20 pair because I was restricted with the pop bottle glasses. They look like ice in some frames. Excuse me. And I was restricted to getting big glasses and fly glasses.
Yeah.
It was a restriction. And 2 months after the lens implant, I still couldn't see real good. They said, well, you're not going to be able to see real good still. You're not. You'll still need glasses. But it's it's way better than what it was, because before, even with those pop bottle glasses, I used to, how pictures look like they have a film over them to make everything look smooth. That's kind of still what I saw. So, when I start looking at people after and talking to people, I remember my first couple of interactions with some of my family, my husband, I started crying because I could see his pores of his skin. And then I looked in the mirror at myself and said, okay, you go through, you know how we do. But just to see, or even see the color of your eyes, or, be able to make out those things, I appreciate that.
So let me ask you this. So now that you can see you got your business up and going. Where do you see yourself now going with your nonprofit, your for-profit businesses? Or tell the people if you got some events coming up or things like that.
Well, I mean, I still see myself going in the same direction, and that is telling people about you can do despite the circumstances. And when I say you can do, it's like ... You fill in that you can do. And I did something that I do want to continue doing, and that is having socialization time for youth and adults.
Okay.
Mental health is real. Since COVID, we have been seeing the rise on isolation, and people are having a hard time saying good things, saying bad things, just communicating. And what do they rely on?
Yeah.
They rely on that, and they can't enter human to human.
And I know that you are putting together what's called what is it? That's what it is.
Expressions of healing.
Yes, art therapy. So you can come and put your, designs, whatever,
Create,
visions.
Yeah, canvas.
Yeah.
So, when we think of art therapy, we only think one way. We think of crayons or paint on canvas or walls or things like that. Art therapy is a plethora of anything: singing, speaking, poetry, of course, canvas, creativity, economic innovation, cooking, clearing the mind,
right?
Self-care. There's an artistry to self-care if you think about it, because of the creativity. Everybody has a different, aspect of self-care. Everybody has a different aspect based on either the things that they need or their lifestyle.
Right.
And I want to make sure that some of the experiences that I have had that have worked for me and worked for others, I can continue providing those kinds of services, because actually they can be considered services.
Okay. All right. So basically, you got like less than 3 minutes on the clock. So tell people real quick in a couple of seconds, nonprofit and what it stands for and where to see you next.
The Nadira Art and Design Collection is about rare creations, rare interactions, intentional socialization, intentional therapy that is through creativity, fashion, and art.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so we are going to stop right there. We are going to ask Ms. Stephanie Morris-Nunn to come back and talk more about the Nadira Design and Art Collection at a later podcast review. And then we're going to go deeper into that. But let me just give back these dates again. So if you are coming to Ms. Dora's class again, those dates are for the group home training is November 2nd and the 16th from 11 to 5. If you come into the nonprofit grant writing class, it is on November the 9th from 10 to 3. And then if you're coming to the business structure with the 501c3 and the for-profit training, it is November the 17th at 1:30 to 4:30. And you can reach us at 216-978-0386. I am your host, Montana, and until next Wednesday, I will see you next week.